very much, Vichea, for a long presentation. Yeah. Okay. Now let's give the floor to the judge. Okay.
Um, so to what extent do you agree that animals could actually predict earthquakes?
Yes, thanks for the question. Uh, the reason why I think that animal could predict the earthquake is because animals started acting strangely before the earthquake happens. It's before, every time. It's because when before the earthquake happens, chicken just sitting in the trees, fish jumping out of water, or also even the snakes just leaving their holes. And so it's different from what we've seen before, and that's all the reason.
Yeah. So my second question is, for example, if an earthquake was to occur in Cambodia, how prepared do you think that people in Cambodia will be to address the situation?
Yes, thanks for the question. For me, I think that if the earthquake happens in Cambodia, uh, there's maybe many people will die because, uh, as I know that in Cambodia there there were no earthquakes before. So when it just happened for the first time, then people they are not ready for the earthquake yet. So then, when they're not ready, so then, when it just happened, surprising, and then people just die a lot, or like they can just got they are in danger. That's all.
Yeah, thank you.
First of all, I would like to pay my highest respect to Mr. Kunstolga, School Director of Speak Up Online, honorable judges, teachers, and participants. Good evening. My name is Jimranju Vichea. I'm 13 years old and study English at Speak Up Online. Today, I am very excited to be standing here and present to all of you one of my remarkable topic, which mentions earthquakes. So, what causes earthquakes? As we know, the outer layer of the Earth are constantly moving. When two of the huge pieces hit each other, earthquake happens. A large movement causes a violent earthquake, and a small movement is a mild. There are thousands of earthquakes every year, but most of them are very small. The place where an earthquake begins is called epicenter. When an earthquake happens, the vibration moves upward from the epicenter. These rolling vibrations are called seismic waves, and usually an earthquake is only strong enough to damage near its epicenter. When the epicenter of the earthquake is at the bottom of the ocean, it creates huge sea waves, and these waves are tall as 15 meters. These waves cross the ocean for several hours, and when they cross the ocean, they rushing toward land, and they destroy small islands and ships. When they hit land, they flood coastal areas far away from the epicenter of the earthquake. In 1868, the sea the sea waves destroyed 4.8 meters inland in Peru. After an earthquake happens, people can die from the lack of water, lack of food, and also the lack of medical supplies. The amount of destruction depends on where it happens, what time it happens, and how strong it is. It also depends on the type of buildings, the soil condition, and even the size of population. Of the thousands of the earthquakes, only 1 in 500 caused damage. In 1956, an earthquake in northern China killed 833,000 people, the most in history. At that time, there was no way to measure how strong of the earthquake is. And in 1935, scientists started using Richter scale. A seriously destructive earthquake is at 6.5 or higher on the Richter scale. How can scientists predict earthquakes? Earthquakes are not just scattered anywhere on Earth. They are the pieces of the Earth that hit each other. For example, it only happens on the west coast of North and South America, Mediterranean Sea, and even Pacific coast of Asia. One way to predict earthquake is to look at the Earth's surface. But also some people say that animals can predict earthquakes because before earthquakes happen, chickens sitting in the trees, fish jumping out of water, snakes leaving their holes, and even other animals acting strangely. On February 4, 1975, scientists predicted an earthquake in China. They told people to leave the danger zone, and more than 1 million people left that cities. And in the afternoon, the ground rolled and shook. In seconds, 90% of the buildings in Haicheng City were destroyed. The decision saved 10,000 lives. However, more than a year later, the scientists were not so lucky. At the east of Beijing, scientists were discussing about a possible earthquake, but during the meeting, the earthquake hit the cities, and estimate of deaths are 250,000 to 695,000, and that earthquake is 7.9 on the Richter scale. In late 1984, strong earthquakes started at Albedo del Ruiz volcano in Colombia. On November 14, 1985, the volcano finally erupted. A nearby river became a sea of mud and 2,100 people killed. At the same time, the earthquakes also happened. This combination is not a unique event at that time, because in fact, it's not unusual for an earthquake and volcanic eruption to happen at the same time. Mexico City have frequent earthquakes. For example, an earthquake there happened on September 19, 1985, and is 8.1 on the Richter scale, killed 7,000 people. Most victims died because the building fell on them. In San Francisco, California also have frequent earthquakes too. But however, to be safe with earthquakes, they built the newer building different. When an earthquake with 7.1 on the Richter scale attacks the Northern California on October 17, 1989, there's only 67 people were killed. The earthquake happened in the afternoon when people returned home from work. The freeways and bridges buried under the layers of the Oakland. Freeways people flattened, people just died with the flattened car. The explosion sounds like a thunder, and as electricity also got disconnected. Huge cloud covered the sky with black dust. Water mixed with gas causing more explosion. The emergency workers had to cope with the medical problem. Everyone worked together to save the survivors and comfort victims. The next day, the sights turned terrible. Victims couldn't find their houses and cars or even the streets. Boats were destroyed and also debris covered the sea. There was no water, only the smell of garbage. Losses and poverty of the earthquake count, counted millions of dollars. Seismology is the study of earthquakes, and also a seismologist is the scientist who observes earthquakes. Seismologists trying to share some knowledge about the earthquake to save lives, and also geothermal means earth heat. Also, for the last slide, if seismologists could predict earthquakes, they could save about 20,000 people each year. Humans can control many things about natural, but they cannot control earthquakes. That's all. Thanks for your listening to my presentation.
Okay, thank you.